wild world of the diagnostic lab space, nothing is off limits. Science, compliance, sales, and marketing. Welcome to Lab Results with your host, Blake Ford.
Good morning, happy people. It's morning where I'm at. And so the morning so far has worked out for me. I was able to wake up this morning. I finished for the first time, not finished forever, but finished for the first time the book of John this morning. It's actually, I'm 43 years old. It's the first time I've read a book of the Bible from cover to cover. And I've been Catholic my whole life. I just had this yearning to get into the gospel and just find out about, like, what's this book all about? After that, I bring my daughter to school. This morning, I did not get my workout in because I did a 2-a-day yesterday, and I need to rest. I'll do my workout this afternoon. I did stretch and do some yoga and some routines just to be able to, maintain this old body, which, as yesterday's episode, we talked about, you want to generate power so that way you have the day. But this morning, what I did was I have this bubble. Okay, I want you guys to think about this as sales reps and lab executives. You have an opportunity to be able to have a bubble that protects you in the morning time before you go into the world. So it allows you to pierce the world instead of the world piercing you. And so oftentimes we wake up and the first thing we do is we grab our cell phone and we look at text messages. We read emails. We look at Facebook. We wake our kids up and we put on a cartoon and we go make them breakfast, or we have the world that's just all of a sudden being flooded inside of our minds and our hearts and our souls and our bodies before we have an opportunity to be able to prepare ourselves for it. And so the change that I've made recently, and the habit that I've actually gone back to, is by preserving that bubble of an hour to 90 minutes every morning. I wake up before anybody else wakes up and I get my stuff done. And a big part of that is me being able to read and to think and to plan and to organize, and for me to penetrate the world, not have the world penetrate me. So even though all that happened, my wife and I still got into it this morning. The reason why we got into it is because I did not ask her permission. And so I'll give you some context around the story. I am not the people who say the plumber with leaky pipes, the cobbler with no shoes. Cobbler's a person who makes shoes back in the day. So I am almost like a scrum master, a project management scrum master inside of my business life. My personal life, I fly by the seat of my pants whenever it comes to picking up after myself and having an organized closet and having things all filed away. Like I have chaos that I will accumulate. And then I go through these like purge seasons where I throw a bunch of stuff away, do some spring cleaning, and then it's back to layers and layers and layers and layers upon organization and chaos. And so a lot of you, don't judge me, because a lot of you out there are the exact same way. In fact, if you have the alpha personality, then there's a pretty good chance that you are organized on the outside, but you are an internal hurricane on the inside. So I have this epiphany that, well, you know what? I do project management in my business life. Why don't I do project management in my actual home life? And so I say, listen, I will just do a scrum board. My wife's a crafter. She loves to do glitter. She loves to paint. So we'll just do a scrum board. We'll put it in the actual living room. And the 3 elements of scrum are, you have a backlog of things that need to get done, but you organize a sprint and you don't work on one and more tasks at the same time. So you have a to-do, a doing, and a done pile. And there's this like really good feeling whenever you get things done. So I pitch this idea to her and tell her, this is what we're going to do. Well, this morning I realized, and this is what we're going to coach on today, I made a grave error. I told her what we were going to do. I did not ask her permission to do it. And the power of permission is a real thing, because when we tell people what to do, when we're direct as salespeople, as leaders of our employees, when we abduct them from what they were doing before and we place them in a worldview that they don't understand or a self-view that's not really them, we can get them to say yes, but that doesn't mean that they actually want to be there. So they will revert to their old self, or they will fight back. And that's what happened this morning. Because when I asked about the Scrum board, my wife was like, well, can't we just put it on a tablet? I'm like, no, I want it to be this and that and this. And, so we end up getting in an argument about something that I thought was going to be a good move for the family. And it's because I was a man and I mansplained a problem that she has to live with, which is her husband's a slob. And I told her what to do inside of it. How many times does that happen to you inside of your work life? I mean, your home life, clearly, men and women, you're married to a man or you're engaged to a man or you love a man, you realize this is probably something that you have to deal with. And so, but how's it show up for you at work? How does it show up for you in sales, right? Where we communicate this message. We communicate this beautiful message that's rooted in the problem. And that's exactly what I did. Hey, the problem is I have a messy closet. The problem is I haven't cleaned out the garage. The problem is I'm not the best at taking out the garbage. The problem is I'm not the best at doing the dishes and loading the dishwasher. The problem is my wife can't get through her daily tasks and move on to bigger things because I'm holding her back, right? So if we convert that problem, which that's literally how I showed up, into diagnostic laboratory sales, the problem is, doc, your turnaround time on your test isn't as good as you need it to be to practice antibiotic stewardship. The problem is you don't have enough psychiatric medications on your toxicology panel for you to make this meaningful and have therapeutic value for your patient care if you're a psych doctor. The problem is you don't know what medications this patient's going to respond to. And so pharmacogenomics testing, can reveal that for you. It's a problem possibility, right? And so we can have an amazing message that shows up with facts and truth. But if we don't take a pause, take a beat, take a breath, take a minute, take a moment for us to hand the stick of power to them and receive the stick of power back from them, that's permission. Okay. A lot of people think that whenever they ask permission, that they're going beta frame, that they're basically like they're lesser. I've literally heard sales champions, people that I know how to sell, people that I know have had great results inside of their life, right? Millions of dollars in the bank, stand in front of rooms of people and literally say, I won't even call a doctor a doctor. I'll call them by their first name because I'm not beta. I'm the one who's running the conversation. And I cringe because nothing could be further from the truth. Because you don't have a degree. You're in somebody else's house. You're in their place of business. They are Lord and Master. They make the decisions. And we show respect to that, right? We're in somebody else's house. You're going to address them as doctor, ma'am, sir, right? Show up with respect, and respect will also be given. It's some little things. But when you run over, if you show up and throw up inside of this moment, if you just get out there and start talking about the problem and how you're going to solve it and the solution, and this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're going to do it, and all you're going to do is sign here, and you get the quick signature, and you run out, and you're like, yeah, I got the onboarding. Yes. Well, look at me. I'm great. And you celebrate it on the pipeline. No samples are coming. And you know that's happened to you in the past. Now go back in your mind and think why. That doctor was too nice to argue with you. Nice guys don't always tell you the truth. Nice guys tolerate you. How many relationships in your life are you being tolerated? Because you're constantly telling people what to do without their actual permission. You have introverts that will not go confrontational with you. Not in the real world, but inside of their mind, inside of that world, they're cutting you to pieces. I have listened to the inner thoughts of people after I have terminated them, unfortunately, because of labs losing revenue or CPT codes getting cut. And I thought these people loved me. And then we let them go. And I heard what they really thought about me. Right. And it saddens me because it's like, man, I really wish they could have told me the truth about myself, because it would have improved me and it improved our relationship. But ultimately, like that's client sales rep 101. Buyers are liars and liars buy from liars. All right. And so if you show up promising everything and telling them what's going to be great and how awesome it's going to be, and I'm going to be here 24 hours a day. No, you're not. You're sleeping at least 8 to 10 of those. And you're not even working the 8 hours that you say you're working. Be honest. You work like 2 or 3 hours a day. The rest of it, you're driving to an appointment. You're preparing to do lunches. You're not productive 8 hours a day. You're definitely not there 24 hours a day. Call me anytime, 10 o'clock. Don't set those expectations for the doctor, because it's lies. All you're going to do is let them down. Don't start the relationship off by force, right? The reason why we work out in the morning and we meditate and we pray and we worship and we commit ourselves to these principalities, these perennial principles of being good and focusing on patient care, and we study and we listen to podcasts, not junk. We listen to things that are going to build us either spiritually or for sales or for leadership. That's the stuff we want to put on our head. The reason why, so that way you have the power to attract. So that way your message is rooted in truth, but you have power. When we use force, guys, we push people away. That's what force does. Even if you yoke them to you and you're pulling them to you and you're grabbing them, you're using force. The proximity may have gotten them closer to you, but they still want to reject you. And as soon as they can, they're going to get away from you. And when you leave, I had this amazing moment in like 2016. I got permission from a group to go ahead and record the training that we were doing. So that way we can create training documents for them and all their questions would be answered. Well, I asked that to the group of people. They all say yes. I leave my bag and my cell phone on the chair, and my cell phone is still recording. I walk out of the room, and this is back whenever I was forcing people to do shit. This is back whenever I thought that the way to get things done was to tell people what to do, to use my authority, right? And so I walk out of the room. When I come back to get my cell phone and leave, I realize I have the recording. I don't realize that they were still talking after it. I heard the innermost thoughts of everyone in that room, because when I left the room, it became a competition to shred me to pieces. Imagine if you were the fly on the wall and you could actually hear what they thought about your presentation, what they thought about your laboratory, what they thought about your offering, your pitch, your dumb jokes, the fact that you wasted their time, how you didn't even get them what they wanted to eat, right? How your face scared them, how your eyebrows were too big. Like, that's the stuff that I heard. And so it set me back. It triggered me for a couple of days, but then I realized, I was like, man, like, if the truth hurts, like, wear it. You know, I got to do things differently. I cannot force people. I started searching for better ways to be able to do this. And I read a ton of books, and I studied, and I practiced, and I found a way to be able to get this done consistently all the way through collision-based sales. We are looking to build competence. We want the staff to want to do what they're doing, and we want them to be competent at it, so that way we don't have problems that show up at the laboratory. So when we capture permission, it doesn't matter if it's an email, doesn't matter if it's a text message, it doesn't matter if it's a phone call, it doesn't matter if it's a conversation, doesn't matter if it's a pitch, doesn't matter if it's a training. You have to pause, take a beat, and make sure that you are asking permission to help solve this problem for them. Ask permission multiple times. It's opening doors into chambers of their brain where that problem is stored. If they're not ready for it and they think you're a threat, Oren Klaft in Pitch Anything talks about the crocodile brain and how the neonatal cortex is set up to protect the brain. And when we threaten it, it shuts down. It just snaps shut. Boom. No more. Ideas out. Cast it out. That could be a math problem. That could be a care problem. That could be a doubt problem. That could be a marriage problem. It could be a money problem. It could be an employment problem. Anything that they don't want to deal with that takes away from survival, your brain will clamp down on the idea and kick it out. And you've lost. So the best way to make sure that their mind is open is by asking questions and specifically asking permission to be able to go forward. Permission is power. I want you to meditate on that. I want that to be your mantra. Permission is power. They're giving you the ability to teach them, to coach them. In a way, for some reason, people think that by asking for it, I'm begging for something. No, I am asking to stand at the podium, to hold the frame, to teach and explain, to be there, to be able to show this is how the product can work. For me they got a very valuable commodity. It's called their time. When they say they're going to give us their time and they're able to get, these guys are making like $1,200, $1,300 an hour. If their practice is busy, they may be responsible for $10,000 an hour of revenue. And then they pay all the payroll. And then they pay all the insurance and all the expenses. They're business owners. You're going to walk in and cold call and hijack that amount of money out of their pocket and give them nothing in return? Think about it. Their time is worth more than yours. So unless you're showing up with clinical value, respect the position. Ask permission. That's all I got for you guys today. Meditate on this. Get your workouts in. I will. You've been listening to Lab Results with Blake. This is Blake Bork. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Remember, greatness is contagious.